Hi guys, so here I return again after a short break of battery change, and I continue the story, or actually I should begin the story of the priest. And so far I've told you a lot of things already, trying to approach this character so that he is born in our imagination, just like the king, as a fantastic hero. It's like a mythical hero. And now we will, I think, strictly follow my book so that we don't stray from the course. So I will read from my book. I will go through the points of my book, Mago. I will not show you the image of the priest yet because that's a surprise. There is no official portrait of the priest, but we will find his portrait. So, from my book, Mago 1, it's the second book that's entitled The Priest. First chapter of this is Botticelli in Hungary. How was Botticelli connected to Hungary? There is an art historian lady who claims and proves that the career of Sandro Botticelli began in Hungary with the fresco unit of the four virtues of the studiolo wall of the humanist Archbishop János Vitéz János in Esztergom. We've already seen the importance and location of Esztergom in the Middle Ages, and so this used to be the Black City, the initiatory Black City, the first station of the alchemy, the energetic alchemy that takes place in the Holy Center. So it is said, okay, as we have already seen in the case of Leonardo, many Florentines lived at the court of Matthias. It was not only a common phenomenon, but a great opportunity for Italian artists to come to gain knowledge and wealth in the court and the cultural, religious centers of the Hungarian kingdom. Okay. Matthias, well known to be magnificently cultured and generous, but his key man also. Okay. Archbishop of Esztergom János Vitéz, the great humanist master of Hungary and Europe, master of the king and the priest, head of the humanist Academia Istropolitana. It was like a key university that I haven't talked about when I spoke of the king, but there was this the great hope to create a humanist high-level academia in Hungary, and Matthias did invite all the leading scientists of the age to participate in this, but for some reason it was very short-lived, and one can imagine why, how it was torpedoed. Okay. So this guy, Vitéz, who was the greatest intellectual and spiritual master of the Hungarian kingdom, Grand Master of European Renaissance humanism, he had intense and good relations with the Italian city-states and universities. Okay. So there was the academia, and there was his study place. Vitéz was not only a true humanist thinker and visionary, but a great cultural politician also. Academia Istropolitana. The studiolo, so his studio. The design of the studiolo was carefully planned. Dante's 7 virtues were the main feature painted on the walls. 3 divine virtues, love, faith, hope, and 4 cardinal virtues, cleverness, temperance, fortitude, and justice. 7 main planets of the solar system. So it was a very, obviously, it's already clear that it was a very consciously operated kingdom, and obviously its cultural and spiritual system too. So the studiolo of the Archbishop in Esztergom was very carefully crafted, and also not only symbolically but ritualistically. I'm sure there was ritual consciousness. So this studio is supposedly Botticelli's very first work, painted between 1464 and 69. This is really, really important for anybody who knows Botticelli, who doesn't know Botticelli. But you don't know that he began his career in this humanist kingdom, in this humanist court that we're talking about, the court of King Matthias. So these are the very first independent and clearly characteristic works of Sandro Botticelli. Yes, how and why Filippo Lippi's workshop moved to south. Okay, Sandro didn't go. Sandro Botticelli. Unmistakably Botticelli, the fresco of Esztergom, and a later figure. Very, very similar in essence, but also formally too. So Botticelli was at this time in Hungary, and obviously he met all the main characters. Wall of the Studiolo, initials MB, Mariano Botticelli. Okay, Botticelli returned to Florence in 1470 as a wealthy young painter. While he was in Hungary around 1464 and 69, Dominicus was 36 years old, an outstandingly talented and beautiful young person on the rise. So, there is a picture of Botticelli's painted between around 74 and 75, when he was already back in Florence. At this time, he paints a portrait of a beautiful young man who holds a gold coin in his hands, and this is called it's unidentified flying object. No, it's like unidentified person. We don't know. Unknown person. Man with medal. Okay, this is the official title of the picture. Man with medal. And when I realized that Botticelli spent time in Hungary, and so must have known, obviously, the king in whose court he worked, and he must have known the priest who was already in this area, in the holy center, in the holy and ruling center of the kingdom, as a young, talented, beautiful person on the rise. I'm sure that I was sure that Botticelli and him must have met. And then I was like curiously looking through the Botticelli album. I actually have it here under the camera, so I'm not going to pull it out. But maybe I should. You know what? It's just love spontaneity. I move a little bit further up, perhaps, on your horizon. Nevertheless, so here's my Botticelli album that I loved. I've been loving this album for a long time. A very simple one, but I so love the figures, and one can muse on them, and you know, God willing, you do have favorite painters and albums and stuff that you just like to muse at and wonder about the meaning of life. Oh my God, Jesus, here we go. So, as I'm looking through Medici, as I'm looking through the album, suddenly there's this picture, and I go like, That's it. That's it. That's him. That must be him. When I saw this picture, I just knew this has to be Dominicus. This character, you know. It's a pure guy, it's not a liar. And he's communicating something to us. In his hand, with his hand. And we will find out what. So when I found him, I was so happy. It was like, oh my God. And his eyes, kind of resemblant of my own and my mom's eyes used to be like this. So I found him. I was like, that's it. That must be Dominicus, the Hungarian to-be high priest that Botticelli painted. And the year when he painted this picture was years after they met, right? Botticelli was already back in Florence, and he painted this a few years later when he was back. And why in this year? Because this was the year, this was a very significant year actually. It was the year that the priest was appointed Grand Provost of Fehérvár, which is the high priest of Fehérvár. Fehérvár is the holiest of the holy cities. It's the white chapel, white castle. Fehérvár. The one that was erased from the map soon afterwards. So he became the high priest, and he was like 42, 43, 44 or something like this. So he was really young and appointed high priest of the holiest city, the White City. This is huge. So in this year, Botticelli paints this picture, obviously. In my mind at least, tell me otherwise, is it not obvious that the priest that he knew before suddenly, quite suddenly, and not suddenly, I mean, I'm not sure it was unexpected, because the young man was obviously ambitious and talented and rising with great speed, and probably with great focus also, and consciousness of mission, and urgency of mission. So in this year, when he's appointed the highest position, Botticelli paints this picture. It's very, very clear to me that he paints it exactly because of the appointment. Yes, exactly. So, then in the book, second chapter, Dominicus, an outstanding man. I already told you quite a bit about this aspect. The king's best man, partner in power, and probably friend, his spiritual and religious counterpart. Beautiful, intelligent, virtuous high priest, high diplomat, and high statesman. Gentle, clever, valiant, and handsome. Sympathy of everyone. Service, particularly foreign. Noble, honorable, affectionate. True beauty of a man. This is a quote from the Chronicle, I think. Yes. True beauty of a man, blessed with beautiful voice, exceptional persuasive talent, who is master in the sciences, wise in the management of natural matters, hero in patriotism, unbreakable in his loyalty to the king, and in his priestly profession he was abundant in the virtues of the Holy Fathers. Shining quality. He seems to have been like a radiant sun, just like the king Matthias. Okay, sure. Yes. 3. Grand Provost of Fehérvár. In other words, Prince Assistant to the Papal Throne. He was 41 only in the first half of 74. Apostolic Protonotary as Grand Provost of Fehérvár. He was 43 in 76. Okay, and it is this year that Botticelli painted the portrait. New sanctified Grand Provost, Apostolic Protonotary or Prince Assistant to the Papal Throne. Had unequaled power. His only Roman Church superior was the Pope. According to his merits, he should have become Pope. Okay, so this is a kind of key question because the king should have become Emperor So the Hungarian king should have become king of Europe, and the high priest of Hungary should have become the Pope, the high priest of Europe, by merit, and actually by bloodline, as we shall see. Okay, the special offices, embassies, and rituals of Dominicus. Highest holy appointment, royal revenues of Transylvania, highest and most confidential positions, political positions, special embassies and rituals. He took part in the wedding between the king and the queen. He was present at the funeral ceremony of the king's mother. Diplomatic tasks, retrieval of the Holy Crown, yes. Collected considerable sums, yes. And finally, sadly, Dominicus held the funeral ceremony of Matthias. This is key. This occasion. He escorted the king's body from Vienna to Fehérvár. Then, during the procession within the holy city, he placed the body on the catafalque within the basilica, of which he was head priest, the grand provost. He had the ceremonial shield made for the king with the crests of the king and himself, and with the territories belonging to the kingdom. Yes, these are on the shield. And this shield I will mention now. Why can't I show you? This death shield, the death shield of King Matthias, is held in Paris because it was from Vienna. It was looted by Napoleon, and it's actually it's also an amazing artifact, just like the crown, although not as ancient and not as special, but it's in the same line that it's a precious artifact. This is a Renaissance artifact, this death shield, specifically made for the sudden funeral of the king after the sudden and unexpected and unnatural death of the king. And the priest, the high priest Dominicus, had this shield made for the king. And after the death of the king, surely it was, looted by the Habsburgs, and then from the Habsburgs, from Vienna, looted by Napoleon, and Napoleon took it to Paris. And this shield is today in Paris, and I saw it in the Army Museum. It's there. It's hardly recognizable at all, let alone its significance and the background. But my ancestor's crest is on the death shield. It's actually on the bottom, because he was, first of all, the right-hand man. Second of all, he was like the MC of this this tragic burial of the king, and thirdly, I've forgotten. Sorry, it's the last day of the year. So, the medal and the ring hold the secret. Okay, it's the death shield. Did I want to say anything else about the death shield? That it's in Paris and we want it back. Give it back. My family crest is on it. But it would be actually like a huge diplomatic feat for Hungary to claim it back. And not with payment. Why? They stole it from us. Give it back. And so actually this is a key, yet another key issue for stolen artifacts from looted colonies. Give our treasures back. Give our ritual, energetic treasures back. It's not just like stuff in museums that don't matter or like weigh a certain number of kilos of gold or whatever stuff or precious stones. That's not the value of these things. And like this is the big difference between today's civilization that's like, goodbye Charlie. seriously, like this materialism, like where's your sense of value? Where's your sense? What do you value? Do you recognize true value? And it's not something abstract actually, because energy is, it's almost measurable. Like this is right, the big secret and the big question: is energy measurable? And how is it usable? How is it tangible? How does it become realizable? So yeah, give it back. And I think all the museums of Europe should be emptied, everything sent back. But, you know, not just to like the governments or the cultural elites of today, because that's also, it's like the whole order should be reformed. The whole system should be reformed, because these, the really valuable artifacts usually belong to the indigenous peoples who hardly even are around anymore, or hardly, like, you know, do we speak our ancestors' languages? Do we understand their culture, their symbology, their hidden language? Can we read a carpet? Can we, you know, read ancient motifs? Can we read our ancient scripts? Are we in touch with our original selves anyway? But anybody, right? Because we all come from some kind of indigenous seed, however way back. But we all stem from the same root. So, you know, the ones that remember this root are better off actually today, because they have something to hang on to. The uprooted people have something to fear, because, you know, big sun wind, sunstorm comes and, you know, we fly off the tangent. But, you know, it's not like you can hide in bunkers and stuff. It's not like that's going to ever save you. These things go further into the spiritual. And so those who believe will always be saved. Those who, I say this again, those who believe will always be saved. Wherever you are, however you are equipped, or whatever state you're in, those who believe and have the faith will always be saved. So, going back to the book, let's go by the book, because we're all over the place. So the medal and the ring hold the secret. The medal and the ring in and on the hand of the priest hold secrets. First of all, the banker's gold. So the gold, the Medici gold in his hand, it doesn't say that he's pro-Medici, or he, you know, he's in favor of these guys. On the contrary, the form in which he's holding the medal, as you can see, the triangle, we know this as an occult symbol, which is also on the dollar bill. This is what it means. So the Medici money in the triangle means that the bankers holding gold and power are behind everything. The rule of money, the gold of the Hungarian kingdom's mines, was beginning to be sucked out by the tubes of the parasitic European banking houses. The coin in Botticelli's man's hand has the portrait of Cosimo de' Medici, Sr., questionable Lord of Florence, one of the most grim, fierce, and desperate enemies of the kingdom. His mafia was running and ruining Europe, and soon enough, Hungary also. Here we go. Evil ones, right? I mean, clear as daylight. Uninitiated and wholly unconstitutional tyrants. Banker lords of Florence, the Medicis. Okay. Habsburgs and other dark families. Yes. The big, great conspiracy. Neoplatonic Medici Academia was established in 1462 for the very purpose of accumulating occult knowledge. recovering and disseminating Platonism, De Stella Magorum, Renaissance views of the Magi. Okay, so the enemy are just as interested in the occult as the children of light and the warriors of light, let's say, are in touch with the same kind of mysticism, only in a real way and in a pure and legitimate way. So it's white magic versus black magic, or rather black magic versus white magic that we're dealing with. And the bankers were obviously using black magic. Company of the Magi. Lorenzo de' Medici, who had himself called Il Magnifico, the Magnificent, he was the Lord of Florence, but really hated and tyrannical banker, ruthless and hypocritical. Mimicry and deception. And we still have to respect these guys. Hyenas of gold, this time the gold of Transylvania, the Medicis of Italy, Turzos of Hungary, Fuggers of Western Europe. So the medal means much more than its instant face value. It is not the glorification of the Medicis. On the contrary, Botticelli meant it as a revelation. Okay. Physiognomy, how he looks, Semitic features. Gold is sacred to the indigenous, cosmically and naturally connected people. Keepers of the same tradition of cult and light. Okay. Now, so this is one revelation by Medici in his image of the priest. The second one is a secret religion and network, which is the White Order that we've already mentioned, related to the king. The Pauline or Palos Order. The White Order, the Hungarian Palos Brothers Sisterhood, tax-free status and land donations for many Palos convents by the king. So he supported them. Archaic alliance of original nations and tribes, spiritual, cultural, and most probably diplomatic political network. Global connections, spiritual, conscious, as well as physical. Secret documents and maps of other continents. The Vatican was exactly the institution that consciously and systematically ruined, poisoned, and eliminated all forms, representatives, and even traces of all original, indigenous, and cosmic natural religions. Yes, we know. Palos also known to have performed physical miracles. They were able to suspend their vital functions, which they practiced in caves, preserving and possibly evoking inner light. I don't want to rush this year out. It feels like I'm rushing because the year is already rushing out of itself. So, preserving and possibly evoking inner light, one's infinite inner power source called free energy today. Clairvoyant artists, codes were placed, traces, messages left for the future. Ancient tree springs again into new shoots, symbol of survival for the long dark age. Okay, because the crest of the Palos or Pauline Brother Sisterhood has a palm tree in it and two lions next to the palm tree, because of the hermit Saint Paul. Saint Paul of Thebes was an early Christian holy man who left the city and moved entirely to the desert. He was a desert hermit, and he was basically nourished and fed by in miraculous ways by God in the form of a raven, actually. And the raven's symbol returns in the king's story, as we've already touched upon before. So there's this hermit, Saint Paul, and he has a beautiful, beautiful legend that I'm not going to tell you right now, because then it's going to go way too long. So, but it's a beautiful legend anyhow. It's really worth thinking about at some point. Look it up, or maybe we'll return to it. Saint Paul of Thebes and his followers are the White Order, the White Brothers Sisterhood. White Order was a Gnostic school of wisdom, mysteries of life and death, magical rituals, inner spiritual light. White light is the innermost highest power. Okay. Secret religion and cult of the great goddess is connected to the Palos, because actually the main godhead of the Palos order is the Black Madonna. The Black Madonna with the child. And the Black Madonna is also a very, very mystical, magical figure, ancient, as well as connected to the story of Jesus, because it's an archetypal figure, both the Black Madonna and the and the sacrifice of Jesus. So these white brothers, sisters, priests, hermits, what they kept despite the force and rule and tyranny and terror of the Vatican Roman Catholic Church, they kept the cult, the ancient cult of the goddess who was eliminated by patriarchy. And this is actually the secret of all heretic schools of religion, that they worship the eliminated goddess, which is the source, which is nothing else. It's exactly the same thing as the Mag. As we saw, this is like the Trinity, the ancient original Trinity, which features in so many forms in every single religion, every form of mysticism, spirituality, whatever. And here, the sequence red, white, green is identical with the sequence of mother, father, and child, and this is divine Trinity. So the mother is the source of the source. The eye of God is the mother, the feminine, the source. There's no question. And it's not about femininity or women being first or superior or anything, but in all of us, this feminine aspect, as I've already talked about this in a previous episode, it's primal. You can say superior. Yes, actually superior. It is, because there is a hierarchy, but it's also just a sequence of creation, and the feminine is the source. So the goddess is that source, is the red, is the love, is the intuition, it's the feeling, the heart. That's what the goddess is. That was trampled and eliminated by patriarchy. So, how is all of this connected with Botticelli's priest, or Botticelli's painting, the guy that we identify as the priest? You see there is a ring. You see the ring on his finger. And it's a ruby ring, they say. And the ruby is the stone of the Virgin Mother. So, there. And the Virgin Mother is the Black Madonna. The Virgin Mother is the goddess. And in Hungary, in this Hungarian religion that we still somehow have kept, the boldogasszony, the happy woman, sounds so, reductive and kind of stupid. Boldog means whole, yes, happy. Somehow imagine a more beautiful word than happy for happiness, like true happiness. Joyous. The joyous woman is boldogasszony, and she is the mother of all, and she is the one we pray to, Boldogasszony. I worship the Boldogasszony. I pray to her because she's the source. But she's also, she's beyond gender, so the fact that in English we have the word she, in Hungarian we don't have the word she, because ő refers to he and she as well. So the Boldogasszony is the source that we pray to, and she is the number one God and the source of all goodness and all light, and the Pálos worshipped her. And actually, officially too, she is the patron and queen of the kingdom, patrona and regina Hungariae. Constitution of the Holy Crown is based exactly on this notion. Yes, Virgin Mother, okay, and it's her image from the crown that was taken off and replaced by something else, among others. Perfectly conscious and benevolent energy, source of life, mother of all, the cultic Black Madonna and child of Mária Nostra, which is the Pálos center, a beautiful Black Madonna. Okay, what it means in the solar system, I am not going to go into it, but the myth or the cult of the Black Madonna goes really, really, really deep and really high. War between the great beast and the great goddess, yeah. Formerly Catholic, essentially Pálos. The former, which calls itself Christian, okay. Christian is really about the crucifixion and killing of the divine man, while the latter is the real, ancient, and eternal Christianity, which handles and keeps man in the divine matrix. The latter is the tradition of the Mag, the magical mage legacy, the well-kept treasure of the Hungarian Pálos order. Okay, two forms of mimicry. I'm sorry, I need to skip. But these are good things, right? Number 6, the library and coded books of Dominicus Calmancei. The Biblioteca Apostolica Vaticana was only established in 1475. The breviary or prayer book of Dominicus Calmancei, High Priest of Hungary. This is the only codex remaining from the Fehérvár Library, the exquisite Calmancei Breviary Priest Prayer Book. Okay, so it was a huge library, and after the death of the king and the beheading of the country, the library was then, it was looted, and then it was burnt finally. Probably looted by the Habsburgs, burnt by the Turks. And very few remain, and only a certain small number remain in the world, and only one book, codex from this holy library, remains in Hungary today, and it's the prayer book of the priest, our beloved priest, and it's kept in the Hungarian state library. And I saw photocopies from this, and I realized there are many key coded, insane, amazing images in it that could change the course of history, and just could change the course of narrative and discourse. So what is to be found in this one single codex that is so revolutionary? Oh my God, there's so much. Okay, priest's crest. First, the priest crest is on almost every page. That itself is a symbol heavy with meaning and depth, as we shall see later in detail. Second, the entire imagery, besides representing high art and science, spirituality, intellect, and bravado technique, seems to be from a wholly different world, carrying a wholly different program from the standard Christian belief and dogma. One could say these images are pagan, Neoplatonic or mystical, but they are much more intense, subliminal, lively, and positive than any ancient Greek or medieval alchemical imagery. Indeed. The page of the Christmas liturgy and its coded images. Oh my God, yes. So there is actually Christmas is the main Christian feast of all of them. It's bigger than Easter, bigger than Pentecost. Christmas is when the light is born, so this is the most mystical one, and it's on the winter solstice time. So Christmas liturgy is kind of key, and at the Christmas liturgy on that page in the Codex there is an amazing image. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I have bigger and better copies, but okay, so there is obviously, and this is on the side of the page in the illustration, but it's coded illustration, right? So it's coded for a reason, because this would not survive in a Catholic context, because it's not Catholic. That's why it's coded. So it's a fountain of life, and on the two sides there are two absolutely naked couples making love. It's plain to see. I mean, you see their bums, you see their bodies, they're naked, and they're having sex, two couples, in the priest's prayer book. And it's not like, it's not porn. It's not gonna like exactly excite you. That's not the point. It's a symbol. It's an alchemical symbol, or it's a mystical symbol of something. But most of all, it's a symbol, and I'm sure that that's why it was placed here, to call our attention to the fact that this was not Roman Catholic religion. It was a different form of Christianity, So how is it that the priest, the high priest of Hungary's prayer book at the Christmas liturgy contains a pornographic image? Was he I don't know, like not a pervert even, because it's not normal sexuality, but how does it, why? And this is why, because it's coding for the future. This was not Roman Catholicism, which means a great deal. It actually strengthens the argument that this country was really out of the grip of the Vatican and the banks and, the entire black dark conspiracy. And the church, as well as the state, was outside of the grip, because the high priest's codex proves that he didn't follow a Roman Christian liturgy, and very probably, obviously, not dogma. So it's a different dogma. It's a different religion. But of course this had to be kept secret, because the hounds of the Vatican were always after you. I mean, formally the Vatican was already all over Europe. So there's a coded sex scene here. Institutional Christianity, with its forced and forceful, manipulated and manipulative dogma, tantric alchemical scene, explicit and healthy. Nudity and love are holy and divine. His crest and possible descent. Okay, so the crest is also featuring in this codex, as well as on the shield and many other places. The crest of the priest. And this crest is also a magical, mystical one. Very, very heavily symbolic. And of course it's energetic. Question is, am I going to go into this even further, or am I going to take a break? And the answer is, I'm going to take a break. Thanks, bye.